I'm Thomas, and today I'm going to talk to you about the 4 rules of simple design, which is a celebration. It's 20 years since the second edition of the Extreme Programming Explained was released, and these 4 rules of simple design, they are described in it. So this is a celebration. We use Slido for questions, and I hope that you can find it. I have had a hard time to find it myself from the speaker's view, but it's going to work out. So, Thomas from Stockholm, Sweden. And what do? I do these things. As in, I write a lot of code, test-driven mostly. Delivering software, so I've done continuous integration since, well, a long time ago. 20 years, more than that actually. Continuous deployment for the last 10 years. And I do some mentoring as well, including teaching a person at the moment to learn more about Java. And I also do DevOps, but I don't understand what it means, because it's a very, very misunderstood concept, I think. And I'm also working a lot with something called Logis, which is a tool that me and a couple of friends have created. We've been working on it for the last 10 years, actually. You can log whatever you've done as a resident, as a doctor resident, so you know your progress. And we also use it for midwives in Sweden. We can also track the things that the emergency response cars are doing in Stockholm, for example. Lots of statistics, and good statistics, if I understand correctly, because we have at least 1 academic paper published and 2 in the pipeline. So we're doing something good there. We have done continuous deployment for the last 10 years, I said that. This is the number of deployments we have done last week. And that's not very impressive. We didn't do that much on Friday, not too much on Monday, but that's why, because I was traveling Monday. Thursday was a public holiday. Yesterday I was preparing, so there were 2 other persons doing things, and they didn't deploy that many times. But we still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 deploys last week. That's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Definition of done. My definition of done is working software in production, and it should be used. Otherwise, I don't care. It's not done. I also happen to own a couple of trombones, and I actually play on them. So this is me playing a solo in a big band setting, which is very uncommon for me, but it has happened. Right, so the 4 rules of simple design and celebrating 20 years anniversary. But let's start out with a poll. How many in here are developers? Please raise your hand. Okay, almost all of you. Keep them up. Because next question is, how many of you have been developers for the last 5 years? Almost the same crowd. Not really, but almost. Okay. 10? Okay. Still quite a few of you. 20. Anyone 20? 1 or 2, because I've been a developer for 20 years as well. Right, that means that the 4 rules of simple design have been published and available to you during your entire career. And my next question is, of course, who of you have heard of them before? Raise your hand. Seriously? No one? 1 over there. Okay, amazing. Amazing, because then you will have the chance to learn something new, but something that has been around for a long time. Right, so let me just notice one thing. We, as a community, developers, we tend to be pretty bad at history. At least I think so. This is, of course, my opinion, and I have no numbers backing it, but that's my opinion and gut feeling. We get very excited over some stuff, and a lot of it is old stuff wrapped in a new package. Looks like new shiny things, but it isn't. Virtualization. Anyone excited about virtualization? Some people are. The mainframe guys, they laugh at us. They did this in the 70s. Who was born in the 70s here? Sorry, I wasn't born then. I was born in the 60s. NoSQL. Well, you know what we did before we had relational databases? And they turned up in late 80s or mid 80s, something. The theory was already there from this early 70s, but they didn't show up until mid 80s, late 80s. So we used files or document store, stuff we call NoSQL today. But, well, it's not bad not to know your history, not by definition at least. But we, as a community, we love to recycle stupid things, recycle our mistakes, and then behave or act as if they were new mistakes. But we love that. And there's a couple of different quotes you can find, but I found this one because I could find a source for it. Those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it, according to Winston Churchill. So, knowing your history is actually a good thing. Nerding about it too much might not be a good thing, but knowing it is good. So I mentioned that this is a celebration, and the thing is that I would really have loved to celebrate that it's 25 years ago since the first edition of Extreme Programming was explained, but I have to wait 1 year for that. So therefore, I'm aiming for the second edition, 2004. Now I have 20 years, so therefore I can celebrate this. And in these two books, two versions of the same book, of course, but still, these rules were explained. Has anyone heard about these books before? A few? Have you read them? Okay, one or two. They are old, but they are well worth a read. I can assure you. In the first edition, the 4 rules of simple design was expressed like this, up in the top corner here, really small, and I should of course prepared a better picture, but I didn't have time to do this until yesterday, so this is me taking a picture from a book with a camera yesterday. But if I try to read this, then I can see that it says runs all tests. Okay. So this implies a couple of things. It implies that there are tests and that they pass. So that's a prerequisite. That's very, very, very important, perhaps the most important of everything. Has no duplicated logic. Be wary of hidden duplication like parallel class hierarchies. Okay. No duplication. States every intention important to the programmer, so it should be very easy to understand these things. And then has the fewer possible classes and methods. Small. 4 rules. Second edition, of course, looks like this, and the order has been changed. So now clarity is more important than duplication. All test pass should of course is of course most important, and small is the least important thing. And I can assure you, you can find the rules here, although it was hard to find them. It's way easier when you have a list like in the first edition. You can translate them, and I have done that into these. Test passes, reveal intent, no duplication, and small. And if you Google this, you will find lots of different variations, but they all say the same thing. So these 4 rules of simple design has been around. They are not that hard to understand, hopefully. Or actually, they are. Because revealing intent, something is obvious. But what is it that makes something obvious? Well, you understand what it means. How do you understand what it means? Well, your education, your background, your experience. So it's easy to use these words, but the definition of them is not that easy or trivial. No duplication. Well, it's easy to find duplicated code. Your development environment can help you a lot. It's harder to find duplicated concepts, and they are way harder to get rid of as well. But this is still duplication. Small. What is small? It depends. And we all have different opinions about size and what is small, what is big. As an example, I was facilitating a workshop a couple of years ago. The task was to, I don't remember, do some kata, probably test-driven. There was some stuff that had to be done, and we all agreed that you should take baby steps. However, we could not agree on the size of a baby step. So one group, 3 persons, they were supposed to do pair programming, so one group was, of course, 3. They took larger steps than I tend to take when I take baby steps. And you know what? In 40 minutes or something, they didn't achieve anything because they couldn't take the first small little step. They had to take a large step, and then they, of course, stumbled and fell and hurt themselves. So small is actually really hard. These rules are supposed to be applied over and over and over again in the sequence. So it turns out that if you get rid of some, or if you clarify something, maybe it's easy to find some duplication. When you have removed some duplication, maybe you can shrink it. Maybe you can find another concept that you can clarify. So you have to do this, or you want to do this over and over and over again until you get bored and don't find anything new. But it turns out that the order here isn't that important, at least not the order of reveal intent and no duplication. The test passes, that's the most important of them all. Small is the least important thing. But the order of reveal intent and no duplication has been shown to not matter that much. You're going to end up in the same place anyway. And if you don't know who J.B. Reinsberger is, he's a Canadian guy, GeeCON speaker. He was in Prague a couple of years ago. He's a clever bloke. But the order doesn't really matter that much. And he, of course, wrote a blog post about that some 15 years ago, putting an age-old battle to rest. Very fancy title, and well, it's worth a read if you're interested. Right, but talk is cheap. Show me the code. So when I was preparing this, I needed an example, and I would love to have shown you production code from, say, Logis or something, but for reasons I can't do that. So I'm selecting a kata here, the tennis refactoring kata by Emily Beige. I don't know if you know who that is, but she has written lots of different katas. She also has a YouTube channel where she talks about software development. You want to check her out. She's good. But she wrote this kata a long time ago, and I will try to do that, or run that kata, and use it as an example here. So let's start out here. This is the Tennis 2 game. There are 6 different versions of it, and I don't know how many languages it is implemented in, but 25 perhaps, lots of them. So if you want to do Scala, C, Python, whatever, it is here. But this is a Java conference, and I'm a Java developer, so I'll use that one. We can see a couple of things here. Start noticing that we have 9 ID warnings. That's 9 too many in my world. I definitely have an OCD regarding these warnings. I want to get rid of them. The formatting is so and so. The task here is to calculate the score in a tennis match. And I don't know if you know anything about tennis, but let's say that the calculation calculating the scores is weird, to say the least. So, for example, 0, that's of course not 0, that's love. 1 point, that's 15. 2 points, that's 30. And then, of course, 3 points is 40. Don't ask me why, this is traditional. And then when you're equal, but you have more than 2 points, then it's deuce. I don't know who came up with this, but someone did. And then there's more rules, like if you have one person is leading over the other one, and the person that is leading has less than 4 points, we have one calculation, and then the other way around, of course. You could have an advantage. So when someone is leading and they have 3 or more points, then they have advantage. And then we have a winner. And this is, of course, not the entire match, but a set. Or actually, this is a score for a game. The game is the smallest thing here. Or actually, it's not. Playing one ball is, of course, the smallest thing. This is what we have. We have something, set P1 score, set P2 score. We have something where we can increase things. And then at the bottom here, we won a point. So this is what we are looking at. And I saw a couple of things while browsing this. I saw duplication. For example, this transformation from numbers to words is repeated in many places. It's not very clear to me what's happening here. I'm not a tennis player, so I had to talk to a friend who is, and he tried to explain them to me, and I guess I understand part of it, but I still don't understand all of it. So it's not very clear what's happening. And to say the least, this get score method is not small. It starts at line 17 and it ends at line 102. So that's a lot. That's a lot. Right, but let's fix this and let's apply the 4 rules of simple design while doing that. And the first thing I will do is just format these things, because otherwise I will do it anyway by mistake. I do it all the time. Right, so we have 9 ID warnings, I said that. This is the case when something is equal. And this is the case when we have dues. As in equal, but greater than or equal to 3. And in this particular case, someone wins a point. And this is actually mirrored here. So this is the same thing, except that we have player 1 and we have here player 2. Okay. And this is not a case when you win a point. Wins point when other player has a point. When the other player has a point. Idea helped me with the spelling and the grammar, and I guess that's a good thing. Here we are. This is advantage. And this one is the same thing. And here, finally, we have a winner. So what I did now was walk through, try to understand what I'm looking at. I added some clarity or reveal intention. I didn't do it in a good way, but I did it in small steps. So I've added comments here. This will simplify it when I'm trying to extract these things as methods. But I've already improved the code. I added clarity. Okay. I see that this guy is not used. Okay. And this one isn't used either. And then we have 1 point, and here someone don't know how to compare stuff in Java, so there is an equals, or it's a comparison where we should have used an equals. Okay, but I haven't checked if the most important property is here yet. I haven't run the tests, so let's do that. And they all passed. We have lots of tests, 198 of them. But then, of course, we're running the test for tennis game 1, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 as well. So, but never mind. The test passes. I added some stuff here, comments, so that's a good start. Now I can start actually doing something. So let's extract a couple of methods here. So if I extract this guy, and if I start from the bottom, they will end up in a better place in the source code afterwards. So let's call this guy a winner. This is advantage. I can pull them together. This is a gigantic method, or will be, but this is someone wins a point. Okay, so let's call it wins a point when other has a point. Okay, that's to say the least. This is a horrible name, but it is a name, and we can improve on it. Next one is wins a point. Okay, let's extract that one as well. Wins a point. Okay. Then we have something that is called dues. So let's create a method called dues. And at the end, the last one here is equal. So if I extract this guy as well, equal, all of a sudden I increased clarity or reveal intention. You can read this algorithm from the top to the bottom, and it's easier to understand. It's not perfect, but it is an improvement. But maybe I broke something. Let's see. I hope I didn't, because this was what we consider a safe refactoring. I used a tool for it. And I didn't break anything. All tests still passes, so I'm happy. Okay. There are two methods that are unused. These. Let's check if they are part of the public API. Maybe they are. So we're implementing tennis game here. And it has two methods, 1 point or get score. It does not have set P1 score, nor does it have set P2 score. And it was obviously not important because it wasn't worth writing a test for it. So whoever did this didn't care. And that means I don't care either. So this one will go. And that is a great way to annoy people. This is obviously not important. You didn't write a test for it. Then people will get upset. Unfortunately, I tend to sometimes say that, and that's bad, but that happens. This one, we can fix it easily. Replace with equals. Yes, please. And the tests, do they still pass? Yes, they do. This method is public. I wonder where it's being used. Oh, in one place. And it's a one-liner. I'm going to inline this guy. The same goes for this one. Yes, it's only used in one place, so inline it as well. I really don't like not to have braces here, so I'm going to add them. Just in case someone actually adds stuff here, then we at least have braces, so we at least have a block that where you can put more stuff in it if you want to, or if you need to. Let's run this again and see that we didn't break anything. That's a good thing. It didn't. Okay. What else? What else? I talked about duplication, and there's lots of it. So I'm thinking that if I could create a method in which I can translate the numbers into these words, that would be a good thing, because they appear all over the place. So if I could implement a method that basically is doing this, I could probably get rid of duplication. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to add it at the bottom here. And it's going to be a private thing. I'm going to return a string. And I'm going to call getPoint name. It needs the point as an integer, and it will return a string. And I have to return something. But what I'm interested in is doing this. Take this point, and when it's set to 2, I'm going to return 30. There we go. If I do this and I use it everywhere where we translate 2 into 30, I will have been able to remove some duplication. And that is a good thing. So let me search for where do we actually use 30 here. And we do it here. So let's replace this with get point name for, in this case, P1 point. And run the test so we didn't break anything. Yes, they pass. Next one is this one, get point name, and it is for P1. I'm doing this in really, really small steps. Some of you are probably annoyed by now, but what can I say? Small steps are safe. This is P2. And here we have get point name for P1. Test passes. Get point name for P2. Test passes. Get point name for P2 again. Okay. And the test passes. And the last one, I hope, I don't know, I don't remember. P1 point. Test passes. And that was the last one. Great. So I can now probably remove some stuff. But before I do that, I will make sure that this one actually copes with all the cases. And we have 15 here. That's for when the point is 1. Okay, let's fix that. Let's add it here. Point is the name of the variable. Result is 15. I'm going to return it, and I want braces. There we go. And it passes, still passes. That's good, because I didn't really change anything in this step. 15, where do we use 15? Oh, here we do it. Use it. Get point name for what? No. Get point name for P1 point. What are you doing? I want to search for 15. This guy. Okay. Get point name for P1 point. Get point name for P2 point. Get point name for P2 point. So this is very mechanical. I don't really think. And that is a benefit, because thinking is hard and doing it correctly is even harder. And let's see if these things still passes. Yes, they do. Okay, so that's 15, that's 30. We want 40, and then we want love. So let's put it here. Point, return 40, add braces. There we go. And where do we use this guy? There and here. Get point name for P1 point. Get point name for P2. And do we have anyone else? Yes, there we go. Get point name for P1. Get point name for P2. And that's it. Right, there's one more case that we need to cope with, and that's love, 0. Let's implement this one here, and let's return love. Still works. Let's see where we use love. There, of course. Here we do get point 1 name for P1 point. Still passes. This is an interesting case. Point here happens to be 0. But it's not explicit here. But if I do this, get point name, and I add P2 point there, it should work. does. And this one is the same. P1 point is 0, so I can use get point name for, in this case, P1 point. And finally, that's it. So this was pretty boring, very mechanical, nothing interesting at all. I hope you are still awake. But this gives me opportunities. For example, let's go from the top. And let's look at equal here. I said we should use these rules over and over again, so I'm going to do that. And equal here, we do this guy, this one, and this one. I bet we can get rid of this. And we have tests, so the worst thing that can happen is that I'll take a step back if they didn't work, but it did. So by getting rid of the duplication here, or actually extracting the conversion from a number to a word, I could get rid of seeming the duplication. This one is now way smaller than it used to be. I think the clarity has improved, so that's a good thing. I'm not a fan of this, so I'm gonna replace it with plus. And it still works. Good. So depending on your situation, you would do this time boxed, or you would spend time until you got bored and you don't find anything more to change. And since no one knows what you're doing at work, you can spend lots of time here, because almost no one knows what you're doing when you have when you're just staring at the screen. If you're thinking, if you're working, or if you're doing something else, no one knows. Dues here. I don't think I can do very much here. I can add braces, yes, and I can get rid of the comment because that one is in the name. I bet I can get rid of stuff in wins a point here. I bet I can get rid of these three things because conditions are in the get point name. They moved there. Yes, I could. Amazing. Okay. The same. Does it apply here? Maybe. It does. That's good. Now I can. I was able to get rid of some stuff here, and that's great. These looks very similar, but let's see where we are. Moving on to the next method here, I can see that it's kind of the same, but not exactly. We are looking for player 1 twice, so maybe I can get rid of these 3 lines, sorry. I could. Can I get rid of these? I don't know. Let's try. I could. So I guess no. The presence of a rather quick or fast set of tests is invaluable. If you don't have them, then you don't do this. I wouldn't do it, at least. I wouldn't dare. Because I don't know when I break stuff. I break stuff all the time, and that's negative, but hey, come on. So can I do the same thing down here? P2 point, I think so. Yes, I could. And these, let's try. Yes, it works. Advantage, yeah, I don't like it, but I don't know what to do here. There's an obvious thing that I'd like to check out. We have player 1 here. We have the player name here. Could it be that they are the same? Could it be that it's a mistake to actually hard code this string here? Let's try. Let's break this. Oh, it broke. Perfect. I just changed one letter and I broke things. So I know that this is the only thing that I changed. It's easy to revert. I wonder if I can replace this with the field that we have, that is player 1 name. Oh, I could. Wonderful. Let's see if the same applies here. Player 2 name. Great. This is good. I bet I can do the same thing here. And this increases, I guess it increases clarity, or at least we don't have hard-coded stuff here that we have to remember to fix. So taking a big step like this, changing 2 lines, that's a bit bold, but the tests are quite fast, and I could revert easily if I had needed to do that. Okay, okay, let's look at this one again. We have 2 compiler warnings now instead of 9. That's an improvement. These would like to be final according to IDEA. Let's make them final and see if this still works. Yes, it did. Okay, so let's try the same thing here. Great. And look at the corner here. We have the wonderful green tick mark. I love that tick mark. Not as much as I love my cats, but I love the tick mark. Okay, so that's good. That's good. What else can we do here? Look at this. We have something, result, 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 different order, but still result. I can change the order there. P1 result, P2 result, P2 result, P1 result. I can change the order. They update score and trade the return score at the end. I bet I can get rid of this, and it will still work. Let's see. And of course it doesn't work, because it doesn't compile this time. And that's because this method just disappeared. Well, who cares? Let's kill it. And I could combine these 2 things. That's good. I don't like them. And I don't like the name here. But let's see if we can look at them all at the same time. They are kind of similar. This one is greater than 0, but this guy is 0. So I can copy this one and replace the 0 here. Okay, and I can do the same thing here. Now they are even more alike, all of them. P1, 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 P1. If I change the order of these 2, something interesting might happen. Something interesting did happen. The test still passed. Let's change the order here. Okay. Okay, still passes. So what we can say here is that it's obvious that P1 and P2 should not be the same. So maybe, and I said it's obvious, but let's try. Let's see if this works. If I could just say that they should not be equal. Oh, that worked. And let me do the same thing here. Still works. The same thing here. Still works. And finally, the same thing here. It still works. Now these are very close to each other now. Really close. I wonder, if I combine these 2, maybe I could make them even more similar. So I can add this guy here. I can add this guy here, I think. Let's see. I could. That's good. That's good. Now I'm wondering, is equals to 0, is that really important? I kind of don't think so. Let's see if I can do this. If I replace this one here, does it still work? It did. And this guy, it still works. Now, if we look at this, we have the same. Nope. I want to copy this, or actually I want to search for this line. It is in 4 different places. I bet we can get rid of some duplication here. So let's give it a try. And now I'm searching for my cursor. There it is. So we started out with this ugly thing, shrunk it slowly, and now we're down to this small thing. The conditions here may or may not be what we want them to be. Maybe we could extract them in better names. But we could shrink this a lot. Anything else we want to do? I wonder, these two, they are instance variables. Do they really have to be that? Or can we turn them into local variables? It's easy to test. Let's try. I could. Can I do the same here? I could. This means, and now I got 2 compiler warning, or IDE warnings. These 2 are not used. So by doing that, I can get rid of these 2. Things are shrinking, and that's a good thing. I have about 8 minutes left, so I need to stop. But there is one thing I'd like to do, but I won't have time for it. This guy. How many in here sees an array? Just waiting to happen. None? 1? Okay. So for the rest of you, if I were to replace this with a string array called, say, names, that has this looks, I bet I can replace these conditions with all of them. So I'm going to do that just because you didn't see it. And I didn't see it first time either. But when you talk to your friends and they say that, you can do this, and then it's obvious. And in this particular case, the name of the friend is Peter Koffler, Code Cup. So I can do this. Return. No, not return, but I can do names. Point. And if I do this, I can replace this guy. We won't reach here ever, but I can. It still works. So I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to take a big step and kill all of these and see if it works. It does. This is a constant waiting to happen. I would like to extract it as a constant. And I would like to... there's 1 or 2 more things, but I have to stop here. I will make sure that this example is available on GitHub in a bit. So if you're interested, then you can find it there. So let's see if I can continue with the presentation. I said talk is cheap, show me the code. You just saw the code. And the summary here is that I started out with improving clarity or revealed intent with comments. Then I extracted some methods. I removed lots of duplication by introducing a new method, a helper. I simplified some conditions, combining stuff. I removed duplication. I got rid of the warnings, and I did it again and again and again and again. And at the bottom you have the address to this, the repo where you will find the result. And I'd like to give some credit to those who deserve it. Emily Beige for creating this kata. She did it a long time ago. I think it might be 10 years old by now. And she has a really good YouTube channel that you might want to check out. Seriously. Peter Koffler, also known as Code Cup. I don't know if Peter is in the room or not, but he is at the conference, and he proposed this kata to me. And then, of course, my friend Johan Helmfrid, who knows rules of tennis. I don't. Didn't even know what to call the things I extracted. So I couldn't have been able to come up with anything close to these method names without his help. And yeah, the conclusion here is that these are the 4 rules of simple design. They can, and if applied reasonably, they will replace things like solid, Liskov, law of Demeter, and the such. Honestly, you don't have to think about them. Solid is complicated, for example, and you don't need it. This will actually take to the same place. The order of reveal intent and no duplication is not that important. That's why I have 2 versions here. Test passes is the most important thing. Small is the least important thing. And then you do this over and over and over again. And I'm Thomas. I've been doing this presentation. And if you're interested in more of this, I'm available for coaching or consulting if you're interested. And I can help you learn these things if needed. So please reach out if that is the case. Now we have 4 minutes left, and I'm not sure if we have any questions, and I'm not sure where I can find them. I think I have something here. Maybe? Q&A? No? Are we in room 11? Yeah. Okay. Okay, I don't know if I have any questions or not. If there is anyone who has questions, please shout out instead. Obviously, I can't get anything here. Can I reload this guy? Don't seem to be able to do that. Oops. Okay, so let's do the old version then. Anyone having any questions? Was it clear? You were able to follow? Was not like a video game? Okay. If that is the case, then I think we should stop here. I will be around for the entire conference. Just reach out when you see me if you want to. Thank you for attending.